Let us start with a question. Who was the first person to fly? I will give you the correct answer in a couple of minutes. We have all seen weather vanes of different shapes and sizes at the top of church steeples, but have you ever wondered why people need to know, or more precisely, needed to know from which direction the wind is blowing? More than 2,000 years ago, farmers could not switch on the TV and tune into the weather channel to see what conditions lay ahead. They did, however, know that wind blowing from a particular direction usually brings cold conditions, while wind blowing from another direction may mean that they had better fix the roof because it was going to rain. So they erected a weather vane on the highest point in the village, which usually was the church steeple, so that everyone could see from which direction the wind was blowing. Wind socks are used to indicate in which direction the wind is blowing. Did you know that wind socks are sometimes erected near or next to factories, and that the direction in which wind is blowing is a deciding factor when venting certain gases or emitting smoke into the atmosphere? I did not know this. Wind socks are sometimes erected next to roads at windy locations to warn motorists when strong winds may cause dangerous driving conditions. The most common use of wind socks, of course, are at airports to indicate the wind direction to pilots. Now the answer to the question who the first person was that flew. If your answer is Orville and Wilbur Wright, you are, just like me, wrong. According to the Smithsonian Institute in the USA, the Wright brothers first took to the air on the 17th of December 1903. Near Kittyhawk in North Carolina, in their Wright Flyer. In March 2013, Jane's All the World's Aircraft published an editorial which accepted Gustave Whitehead's flight as the first manned, powered and controlled flight of a heavier-than-air craft. Whitehead first flew his aeroplane on the 14th of August 1901, which was about 2.5 years before the Wrights. The first manned airplane that took off under its own power was built by a French engineer, Clément Ader, and made an uncontrolled hop of about 50 meters on the 19th of October in 1890. In the late 1800s, some would-be aviators also experimented with steam-driven aircraft, but it turned out that these planes were maybe just a tad too much heavier than air. From about 1848, a lot of work was done on building gliders. An unknown village boy was reportedly the first person to fly in a glider. So, was this unknown boy the first person to fly? It all depends on how you define the word fly. On the 19th of September 1783, a sheep, a duck and a cock were the first living creatures to take off in a balloon. A month later, on the 19th of October 1783, the Montgolfier brothers were the first humans to leave the ground in a balloon. Were the Montgolfiers the first to fly? Manned kites were reportedly used extensively in ancient China for both civil and military purposes, and sometimes enforced as a punishment. The first recorded flight was of a prisoner named Yuan Huangtou, who were tied to a kite and sent into the air sometime during the 6th century. You can now decide for yourself who the first person was who flew and when. Let's return briefly to weather vanes and wind socks. It is really important for a man to know from which direction the wind is blowing when he needs to go behind a bush to answer the call of nature.